I would like to know how she rides to keep her horses athletic and well balanced, as in, does she have an exercise schedule for her horses? How many times a week is each horse ridden? If she can comment how she puts her training together, it would be great.
I will do examples of this at the Happy Horse Clinic,
Okay.
because I'm going to bring a horse goal board and show you how to plot your horse's journey. But I try to ride my horses every day. It doesn't always work, but I try to make the mornings my horsemanship time, and that's also when when I coach my proteges or my mastery students that are here with me. But sometimes, I get called into meetings, so it's not going to work. And so my horses have a day off here and there, it doesn't matter. And then when we move from, say, Ocala to Colorado or vice versa, there's usually a few weeks there when my horses don't get ridden because it's all in the transition. So they get a little break. But every day I play some on the ground. Sometimes it's a little bit. Sometimes I only do ground. And I ride, I ride Jazz and Highland more than any other horses. So my students are riding my other horses. And I've given Delano to Ryan to ride so that he can learn now that Delano's at 0 instead of negative level 5. That part for me is easy. But for Ryan then to learn how to take a horse of that caliber and that baggage through his foundation, he's going to get a lot more out of it than I am. So my 2 horses are the main ones that I ride every day, and then I just oversee the others and how they're going. But I don't do long, sweaty sessions, and we're going to talk about this in the Happy Horse Clinic, because a lot of people, when they train horses, and I'm not talking about Parelli people necessarily, but they overwork them. So you get horses that are sweaty, and people have this as a goal. It's like, oh, well, my horse didn't sweat, therefore, he didn't do enough. Well, that's not the truth at all. My horses can work really hard and have barely any sweat, maybe just a little bit under the saddle. The more sweaty your horse is, the more stressed he is. And it's usually emotional stress and possibly physical stress, which then comes back to emotional stress. And so I really think about fitness more than I do when they're online, or if I go for a trail ride or in my warm-ups. But then when I train, for instance, like Highland, I'm working on level 3, 4 with him now. With Jazz, I'm working on level 6, and then, pre-St. George dressage. And so I would say that I put far more stock into their mental, emotional fitness than their physical fitness. And so I keep their desire for training and learning high. And I just don't exhaust them. And they're pretty fit. Well, Jazz is a little fat right now because the grass is nice. But he's fit, And I'm lucky because they stay out in the pasture, so I don't have to do a lot. They're on little hills in the pasture. But, I'm not getting them ready for endurance rides or anything like that. I don't know how to explain it. And, because I don't have this doctrine of, this is how long I work a horse for. I have my goals, and when I reach them in the session, we're done.
I think you did a great job.
And a lot of the time I'm puffing more than the horse. So.
Right. Well, I think that was really cool to think about that, if you're wanting to have more physical fitness from them, you're doing more things online or the trail rides for the physical fitness, because the trail rides are, a great way for them to be mentally engaged, but it's not like learning necessarily. It's interesting. But when you're training, it's more of a mental focus, and you're keeping it short, instead of burning them out mentally. So that made a lot of sense to me. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, because I think, we can get into this like, oh, I've got to get my horse fit, and then we just do lots and lots of stuff in the arena, and horses just get burned out on that. I'd rather put the horse, like the other day, I put Jazz on a 45-foot line, and I was doing canter gallop transitions on a 45. And so he's out there like going forward, and it's not like, oh, you have to be this shape and this quality and this rhythm. It's just like, go.
Right. Yeah.
And slow down and be calm. And now go and slow down. And you only need 5 minutes of that. And it's, it's a good aerobic workout.
Right. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Very cool. That's great. So another question, kind of along the training lines, is I would be interested in more information on advancing bits, techniques, and when to consider transitioning, even if in infant stages beyond the cradle or simple snaffle.
Did you say bits? There was a little glitch.
Oh yes. Yeah.
That's with bits, like what, when. Okay, I try to keep this really, really simple.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than trying to give a whole seminar, in this little discussion here, right, we will talk about it at the masterclass.
Awesome.
But there's also quite a good discussion from both Pat and I on the Savvy Club in Touchstone 11, I think it is, which is tools and techniques. And we do a thing on bits there. Okay. And so, and also in my finesse manual, I talk about the bits and the progression that I've made, like with jazz, on, starting with obviously the hackamore, the natural hackamore, and then going to, loose string snaffle, and then going to a snaffle with a little lozenge in the middle so that you've got this shape for contact instead of this shape, which is, the single joint. And then going to a more refined version of that, then going to an egg butt, which is a more stable version of that, and then ultimately into the double bridle. And, what role does that play? How does it actually work? Because it's not more force or power. It's like there's very specific functions for the little snaffle and then, the curb bit in there. So it's, you can go down a big rabbit warren on stuff like that. There's a lot of information and it can be very confusing. But the way that I like to think about it is in terms of horsonality and whether I need loose rings or fixed rings, and when would I and why would I use a curb bit. So I think that's going to be best covered at the seminar.
That's great. She's actually a writer in it.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So. And, I may even bring some bits with me so that we can have a look at that and talk about it. Yeah. And, they're not all bits that we sell, obviously, but it's just, I don't try to tell people what bit to use, but I try to give them an understanding of the function of the bits and the mouthpieces and the sides of it. So then you can make an intelligent choice about what your horse needs.
That's great. Good. Wow, I think that kind of wraps it up. Well, I'm just tickled that you're taking the time out to come and spend some time with us. And there's a lot of very excited people here in Washington and Oregon and Idaho, surrounding areas. So, yeah.
Well, I'm thrilled to hear that. I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it. And I've got lots of really great stuff to share. And I really want to thank you for doing what it's taking to get me out there. Absolutely. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Yeah. So, yeah, there we have it.
In September.
Yay!
Great. Thanks a lot, Molly.